On this episode of On the Map, we continue our tour through Charleston history, visit another great plantation, and share more dining ideas for you to enjoy.
And this is the house coming up where George Washington stayed. George was here for a week in 1791. This house dates 1772. And it has the finest collection of Charleston-made furniture in the city. Unbelievable. It has its own kitchen in the back, and you tour from room to room. This big one here belonged to the last British royal governor. His name was Sir William Campbell. The Patriots had taken over. Sir William jumped in a little rowboat and went out to a British ship in the harbor. He had the King's seal, and he was worried these Patriots were going to get it. So he left. But this looks like Little London. This is classic Georgian architecture, and the one across the street, and the one with the bay windows over there, Beauregard used as his headquarters. But this is really, look at the 1760, where are the log cabins? Now this is more typical of an 18th century street. There were no sidewalks in their day, so this was a real wide street. Don't you love that old wall over there? I mean, that's what gives this city so much character. Everything, of course, mildews. I had somebody say to me one time, why don't they fix this place up? Oh my God, we don't want to look like Disney World. Disney World can reproduce anything. Now this is a house open, like the Hayward Washington, we saw that one, open for visitors. This one is too. This one has a spiral staircase. It is unbelievable. It goes 3 flights up. Mr. Russell, he was a merchant from Rhode Island. He built this in 1808. Look at his initials in the ironwork above the front door. N.R., Nathaniel Russell. He had 2 daughters. He built this when he was 70 years old. He didn't live here long. He was a loyalist. He sided with the British. And when he was during the Revolutionary War, and fled Charleston, went back to England, had a big change of heart, came back. And he built this with his second fortune. See that pretty hedge right there? Looks like pine. Right here along the wall, see that? All of that is Japanese yew, all from Japan. We have so many plants here that are, see, you could never bring these into the country today. We can't bring a basket in from another country, let alone a plant. We wouldn't have any of these plants that we have. Crepe myrtles, even some of the azaleas. Now we have native azaleas, but some azaleas came from India. Now here in 1700, there was a wall here, okay? We're going inside the wall town right now. All right, now you're gonna notice things really get tight. And this one's 1730. That's a biggie for 1730. Now these, we know they're early 1700. They could be late 1600. We just don't know. But we have paperwork documented they're early. See, they're sharing walls. Look how hot that would have been. Would have been terrible. Now I want you to see these little brick houses. Look at these, 1 room wide here on the street. Now where's the front door? How do you get in that house? The door is on the side of the house. We have a name for these. We call them Charleston single houses. They're a single room wide. They're long and deep. It was safer in colonial times have your door down the side. Let me show you. We thought they were taxed according to the footage on the street, but there's nothing in the public record anywhere, letters, diaries, that was true. We do know this: you can get more houses on a street this way if they're long and deep, but even more important, these houses were cooler. They put all the windows on this side, the south and west side, because that's where the prevailing breezes come from. And they put all the windows there. Then they started to add piazzas. We call our porches piazzas. And look what they did. They put a door, let me pull over, a door on the piazza for privacy is what they did. But the true front door is still on the side of the house. And then they could put a fence up, and the false door, you walk through that door, but you're not in the house yet. You're only on the piazza. This gave you some privacy and protection. In colonial times, they didn't know who or what was coming in on those ships. So you would have seen high walls, fences, and gates in all these old towns. Now here is what we call the Battery Park. Originally this was an oyster bed. Well, let's go this way. I'll circle it for you. This is a grand row of houses. Look at these. This was the Middleton's townhouse here, this one. When y'all tour Middleton, his name was Williams Middleton. This was his Charleston townhouse. See, these folks never stayed on their plantations in the summer months. You would have been in grave danger of death from the heat, mosquitoes, malaria. They came to the coast, the spring and the fall. A lot of them packed up and went north in the summer months. Up here is Charleston's famous Rainbow Row. See, there was wharf after wharf along here, and they brought their goods right off the ships. These were shops on the first floors. Families lived on the second and third floor. We were one block, right, that tree that was grown through the wall is the next street right behind all this, okay? But here are your pastel colors. That's why they call it Rainbow Row. This was a slum. This is, again, where they were going to build that public housing. And one little lady came in and she bought one and restored it and saved it. Here's the building the British built, where y'all are going in that dungeon. There's a beautiful park, waterfront park over there with the pineapple fountain. It's on that's another just waterfront park. I'll go up this way and show you. But y'all are going in the dungeon here on that tour. George Washington stood right there in 1791. George was here for a week, like I said. Lafayette, this is where they read the Declaration of Independence to the citizens of Charleston, 1776, right there. Ton of history. And they thought it would be nice to tear this down in 1920s and put a gas station on the corner. And they stopped that too. There are only 4 buildings left in the U.S. where the Constitution was ratified, and that's one of them. And that's an 18th century street. Look at all that down there. Now these buildings, you'll notice they're a little larger here. That's because these are antebellum. This is early 1800s. Their buildings are getting larger and larger. They built this seawall. See, this was all a beach. They built this seawall, 1825-ish. There were temporary walls before it, but they built this seawall. See, now the Cooper River's going up this way. See the big bridge in the distance? This is the Confederate Memorial here. This is the grandest row of houses in our city. A good number of these are still single-family homes. I'm gonna get you up in the middle. I can pull over up here for a second. This one's a B&B. The next one belongs to Mr. John Brett. You see the rope going around the doorway there? Rope is a nautical symbol. You'll see it a lot in seaport towns. Sort of a symbol that the man that lives there was in the shipping business. And then you see the lighthouse in the distance. That's Sullivan's Island. And that's where Charlestonians have their beach houses. They all go out there in the summer months to the beaches. And the Isle of Palms. And Mount Pleasant is another little village over there, almost like a Martha's Vineyard.
When you're in Charleston, why not experience a piece of Charleston history by staying at a historic plantation? Middleton Place is just a short drive outside the city.
Well, Middleton Place, first of all, is home to America's oldest landscape gardens. Now, the plantation itself was acquired by Henry Middleton through marriage to Mary Williams in 1741. Unfortunately, we only have the ruins of the main house and the northern flanker was here, and all that is left is the south flanker, which was built in 1755. The south flanker today serves as our house museum. It tells the story of the Middleton family here on the plantation. Matter of fact, the house museum is, most of the pieces in the house museum are roughly, I would say 90% of them are actually Middleton pieces. They belong to the Middleton family, and many of those pieces were actually used here on the plantation. In addition to the house museum, as I said earlier, we also have the oldest landscape gardens. We offer tours of the gardens that people can go around and see, and we can see the evolution of the garden from let's say more of a green garden in the 18th century to more of a romantic garden in the 19th century with the introduction of azaleas and camellias and different flowers here.
So my name's Nicole Thompson, and I'm the seamstress here at Middleton Plantations, and this is the textile shop. So I make period clothes just like the ones I'm wearing. We dress to represent the period sometime between 1740 and 1790. Besides myself, there's a woman who works in the shop who spins and weaves. I have volunteers who come in and quilt and do other sewing projects for me as well. Collectively, we take care of all the different fibers. That includes wool from our sheep, cashmere from our goats. We grow a type of cotton called Sea Island cotton. It was grown on the outer islands of South Carolina and Georgia from just after the Revolutionary War until about 1920. And we also grow and process indigo. Indigo is considered a major export here in South Carolina for about 40 years, from about 1740 until 1780. In fact, in 1775, the colony exports over 1 million pounds of what they call cake indigo. We actually grow indigo here on the plantation. I have 4 of them in my garden outside of my shop. They're kind of ugly looking weeds. No blue flowers, no blueberries. We actually extract the blue from the leaves. We typically do that once a year, take it from leaf to cake form, and then that takes about 7 to 10 days. It's kind of a hurry up and wait process. I am making 18th century stays. So in the 1800s, during the time of the antebellum era, women wore corsets. But in the 1700s, during the time of the Revolution, they wear what we call staves. These are fully boned, strapless stays, most common among working class women or slaves because they don't have any sleeves. They give you plenty of support for heavy work like cooking, moving iron pots. They traditionally were boned with baleen or caning. Today we use a combination of steel and plastic. So everything is hand sewn. This is heavy linen on the outside, and I'm actually putting the eyelets in the back so that it can be laced up.
Well, here at the Stable Yards at Middleton Place, we are trying to show what the working life of an 18th and 19th century low country plantation is about. And basically how we do it is in 3 ways. One, we do have artisans that are demonstrating some of the skills that were practiced by the enslaved community out here, such as coopering and carpentry and blacksmithing. Secondly, we have a lot of display areas that show the some of the domestic skills, the agricultural skills, some of the modes of transportation that were used by both the Middletons and the enslaved population. And then the last way we show the working life out here is by the animals that we keep here in the stable yards. Now, all of these animals, well, first of all, they are based upon the 1850 and the 1860 agricultural census for Middleton Place. So basically what we're seeing is what was here at one time. These two here in front of me, these are water buffalo. In the earliest reference we have to water buffalo on this plantation is in a letter from Williams Middleton in 1854. He actually brings them over from Constantinople. Now, water buffalo themselves, this is an excellent draft animal. He is here primarily for work with this. By 1865, we know that there are 11 water buffalo on this plantation. That's also the same year that members of the 56 New York Volunteer Union troops come in and they ransack and they destroy a lot of the plantation. Of the 11 water buffalo that are here at the time, we know about 5 or 6 get eaten. 3 or 4 or several of them they kind of just chase away, they run away. And 3 of them actually end up in the Central Park Zoo in New York City. They are displayed as General Sherman's water buffalo, though General Sherman's got nothing to do with it. He was never here or anything like that. It's just propaganda. After the war, Williams Middleton does try to get them back, no success. Now the two here, the black one is Adam, the white one is Burke. They were actually donated to us by the American Water Buffalo Association in 2007. They are roughly about 9 years old, and they weigh almost 2,000 pounds, about a ton apiece here. We do work them on the plantation. They do pull things, we will yoke them up, they work as a team. They're like any draft animal, so we'll work them around here. And usually, it's kind of unusual, you're seeing them up here on the dry ground at this time of the year with this heat in the summer. Usually, you're gonna find them in the pond. These animals have very little sweat glands. So in order for them to cool off, they'll jump in that pond there. And I should also add, when they get in the pond, it's like pulling teeth trying to get them out of the pond. They definitely enjoy working in the water. Their native origin is Southeast Asia. And in Southeast Asia, water buffalo are primarily used in the rice fields. Reason he works so well in the rice field, well, 1, he likes the water, so that's no problem. 2, his hoof here, it's what we call split, or sometimes it's referred to as cloven. This split hoof allows him to go through the mud without getting stuck. Unlike, let's say, a mule who has a round hoof, if he sticks his foot in it, he'll get bogged down. This will not happen to him. And lastly, his hoof is impervious to water rot. All right? If the hoof rots off an animal, let's say if a mule's in the water and eventually his hoof will rot off, the animal's useless. There's nothing you can do with it. That's not happening to these guys. They're built to be in the water. We do not have any direct evidence that they were used in the rice fields here at Middleton Place. We think that's what he's trying to do, but we can't say with any certainty exactly what he's doing. However, you think about it, they're here from 1854, 1865, 11 years. 1865, we have 11 of them. They're being used for something out here, some sort of labor.
Nestled in a serene environment, Middleton Place provides a relaxing getaway with beautifully landscaped gardens, an award-winning restaurant, and a nature trail that connects the plantation to the inn. The inn at Middleton Place is also award-winning. Spanning several acres, the 55 rooms on the property feel more like a private cottage, and admission to Middleton Place Plantation is provided with all accommodations. One of the grander things about the inn at Middleton Place are their guest rooms, all of which come with floor-to-ceiling windows and a wood-burning fireplace, so let's go check them out.
The room has a rustic vibe, and the extraordinary architecture and floor-to-ceiling windows keep the feel of nature flowing from outdoors to indoors, while keeping a relaxed and comfortable feel throughout the room. The inn provides many unique amenities for its guests, including kayaking down the Ashley River, swimming in a clear in-ground pool, and a lake house restaurant where guests can find a great breakfast. The guest clubhouse houses all kinds of outdoor and indoor games. And in the evenings, guests can enjoy cocktails and finger food while mingling with other guests.
Now we've shown you all around the inn at Middleton Place, and it's time for you to come and join me and enjoy all they have to offer. Although Middleton Place provides everything you need, you can't miss the chance to eat at what has been called one of the best and most distinctive steakhouses in America. The Oak Steakhouse is the finest of dining experiences. Located in the historic district right down the street from the Provost Building, the old world charm is reflected in the ambiance of the restaurant. We caught up with the general manager to find out more.
Hey, I'm Herman Ing. I'm the general manager here at Oak Steakhouse down here in Charleston, South Carolina. Been here for about 5 years now. Recently took over as the general manager this past spring. Oak Steakhouse is a fine dining steakhouse. We serve certified Angus beef prime. Prime cuts are pretty much the best of the best. It's a less than 2%, I want to say, of all the beef gets grayed out at prime, and we also, as you can tell, we offer some pretty extensive wine right behind us. My favorite dish would be definitely, we're a traditional steakhouse. We offer steaks, so I'm gonna have to say the bone-in cowboy ribeye, 24-ounce dry age. We get our dry aged steaks from Master's Purveyor up in New York City. It's 24 ounces of, I want to say, heaven.
Great prime cut beef, truffle fries, and fine wine. What more could you ask for from a fine dining experience?
Our hours of operation are from Sunday through Thursday. We're open from 5 to 10, and then on Fridays and Saturdays we're open from 5 to 11. We also offer a happy hour from 5 to 7 down at the bar from Sunday through Friday as well.
On the next episode of On the Map, we take you back to Middleton Place for a weekend getaway.
For full episodes, bonus content, and more, visit onthemaptv.com and follow us on Twitter at onthemaptv.